Hi guys, welcome to video 8 where we are going to talk about how to do direct and indirect speech. So remember, according to the SAGS document, you have to be able to do it both ways. I'll give you direct speech and you need to change it to indirect, or I'll give you indirect and you need to change it to direct. So let's look at what is important. So from the very start, in the younger grades, when you did direct and indirect speech, they told you the basic rules. So when we go from direkte na indirect, so the difference is, so this is directly someone talking right now, reported speech. No, it's direct speech. And then when you are retelling it to someone else, then it's the indirect speech. So that means your punctuation will change because it will go from, let's say it was a question, for instance, and you retell someone that that person asked a question, you are just talking a normal or reporting in a normal sentence statement. So then it's not a question anymore. If you go to class today, your teacher's in a bad mood, she's screaming the whole time. When you tell your mom later that day when you get home, you're not going to scream as well. You're just going to tell your mom that the teacher was screaming so much today and maybe what she said while she was screaming. So you're not screaming, you are simply retelling what happened. So something that makes direct and indirect slightly easier in the IB Afrikaans curriculum, according to the SAGS document, they will never ask you past tense because technically, when someone is saying something, the second they are done saying it, it's in the past. So then you go after they said it and retell it to someone. So whatever they said happened in the past, whether it's a few minutes into the future, whether it's a few hours or a week later, when I talk, the second I stop speaking, what I said is in the past. But they do not mark you on this in the Afrikaans IB second language, Afrikaans second language IB curriculum at all. All they test is if you go from direct to indirect, you now have you change the punctuation. So this this is relevant in English and in Afrikaans is you change your punctuation, change or correct, however you want to look at it. You change your punctuation. Then, so this is now the colon, the inverted commas, the question marks, the exclamation marks. You must fix it, change it to how it's supposed to be. Then the second thing you must do is change pronouns. So here you'll get a picture, and in that picture, a boy is a he and a girl is a she. Sometimes they will ask they and them, but you follow whatever was in the question. And if there's no gender specific pronoun in the question, look at the picture. Then, so change your pronouns. And then 3 is move your verb. Why must you move your verb? Because when you go from direct to indirect, you add a group 3 conjunction. So in the previous videos, in video 7.1 and 7.2, we spoke about group 3 conjunctions. So the verb must go to the back. When we do indirect speech, we add a group 3 conjunction, or we use a question word as a group 3 conjunction. So then the verb needs to go to the back. So it's move verb 1 to the back. Right. Let's quickly look a little bit at pronouns. So, just some basic pronouns that you need to know. So, let's say we're still busy with direct to indirect. So, let's make a little table. I'll just make it here. So, this is direct, and then this side is indirect. So, in my sentence, I have the pronoun ek or the pronoun jy. So that then will change to, depending on the gender of the character in the picture, you will either use hy or you'll use sy. Right, that's the first one. Then let's say we have my, me, or also yo. So yay and yo sometimes or quite often get confused. So this one is quite easy because May is me and Ak is I. But yay and yo is usually, or no, not usually, it is. Yo is either when the word right before it is a deur. So this is an active and passive voice. Jy skop die bal word deur jou geskop. So then the jy changes to yo. So jou will be after deur, never jy. It will be deur jou, never ever deur jy. And also, if it describes possession or belonging. For instance, it's your shoes. You like your shoes. Jy hou van jou skoene. So your shoes. Dan is dit ook jou. So my is me and jou is your. So my shoes or your shoes when it is belonging, showing possession of something. Then obviously in English it's his shoes or it's her shoes. So if it's her shoes, dan is dit haar. And if it's his shoes, dan is dit sy skoene. So let me just repeat this second one. So if I have my shoes or your shoes and I retell it, she likes her shoes or he likes his shoes. So in this first case, in this first instance, that is he and she. But in this second instance here, it is her and his. All right. And this one, let me just add this here. The second one here means your. So there will be an object right after it. Okay, then another thing is both us, ons is us, and they, or you guys, a lot of you. So when it's like you all of you must watch these videos, dan is dit julle. When I'm just referring to one, jy, you must watch this video because I'm talking to one person. But if I'm talking to a group of people and say you must watch this video, implying it's a group of people, dan is dit julle. And both those we change to hulle, they. And then sometimes you will get, so this is derived from this second example, the my and jou. But let's say you say, instead of I like my shoes, the conversation is about shoes, and you just say I like mine. I like my shoes, so I like mine. We're talking about everybody's shoes, and you're like, no, mine is my favorite, my shoes. Okay, so without the shoes, when you just have that possession, it's mine. I like mine. So dan is dit in Afrikaans myne. Of yours. I like yours more than I like mine. dan gaan dit wees joune. And that will change to hers or his as well. So dan sal dit wees hare of syne, depending on the gender in the picture. Right. Um, so that is how we change pronouns, that number 2 that we had here in the examples. So let's look at an example. So before we get into types of sentences, let me just show you what I mean here because of these. Or I can actually go into the types of sentences while we do this. So you get a variety of types of sentences that you can have during direct speech. So the first one we're going to look at, let's call this because we have 1, 2, 3 there now. So let's say, so when you change sentences from direct to indirect, you have your types of sentences. So let's just, as a little side note, let's just look at types of sentences. Types of sentences. So types of sentences that you get. So first you have your normal statement. A statement is in Afrikaans 'n stelsin. How do we know that this is just a normal sentence? It ends on a full stop. This is where if you go from direct to indirect, this is now you will add the group 3 conjunction dot. You'll add. Okay. And then that's why we number 3 here. That's why we move up 1 to the back. Then we get a no, let's first go to a bevelsin. A bevelsin is a command. So a command, I can give you an instruction or a command without screaming, or I can give it to you while screaming. So something teachers tend to scream is keep quiet, bly still. So I raise my voice. So for a command, you can either have a full stop or you can have an exclamation mark. But we know it's a command because it's a sentence that starts with a verb. We'll also add dot. So a bevelsin is a sentence that starts with a verb or like a main verb. There's just one verb in the sentence, like staan op, bly stil, sit. Just that. It's a bevelsin. So it starts with a verb. Sit down until you can behave. Sit, that's my verb. It's a command. So that's how I know it's a command. It starts with a verb. Dan het ons 'n uitroepsin. 'n Uitroepsin has an uitroepteken, an exclamation has an exclamation mark. For this we also add dot. But yeah, guys, it's very important. How do we know that we are using or busy with an exclamation? Yeah, there will most likely be an interjection, a tussenverbsel. So we will look at that in a bit. But that's like, ouch, yay, yo, wow. That's it. That's interjections. So apart from just adding that, we have to paraphrase an interjection when we go from direct to indirect. So we will look at that in a bit because that's a topic on its own. And then the fourth type of sentence that we get is a vraagsin. And there we recognize it based on a question mark, a vraagteken. For this, you add of, or what did I say when we did conjunctions? The very, very last thing I said when we did conjunctions, I said question words can also be group 3 conjunctions. So you can either add off, so I'll tell you now when you add off, or use the given question word. Okay, so we will look at this now. So let's do a few where it is just the Stelson. So we're just going to look at direct to indirect still, but now when we do it with Stelson. So this is a normal statement. So ek kom ons sê somme Annie sê. Then we have a, what is that punctuation in Afrikaans? In English, it's a colon. In Afrikaans is dit, I'm just going to put it here because you guys forget. In Afrikaans is dit a double punt. A double point. A double punt. Then you have your inverted comma. What is that in Afrikaans? Just want to erase these previous notes that is interfering with my new notes. Do not fear, it is recorded in other videos. So then we have this little punctuation mark here. Oh, I want that in green. Why didn't it make it green? Okay, let's just redo it because I don't know why. Sorry for those of you who are colorblind. Missing out. I really like using color. It helps my brain. But with everything, all the ways your brain works, hopefully you have found a method that helps you be successful in the subject that you are studying. Remember, you can't always apply the exact same study techniques for every single subject. Sometimes you need a little bit something else for a different subject, especially if it's a subject that you are really weak in. And you've been studying for that subject exactly the same that you study for your other subjects, but you keep getting the marks you don't want. You want better marks. So then you have to change your study style. Right. So let's take a different color for if things want to work, but now nothing wants to work. So it's forcing me to take green. So that in Afrikaans we call on onhalings teken. One word. My pen glitched a bit there on my wacom, so it looks like to onhalings teken. Okay, you get it's in plural because you never only use one. So this is when you quote something and when you use inverted commas for direct speech. So Annie sê, kom ons sê dit is warm vandaag. Normal statement, close your inverted commas. Right. Now, this is direct speech. Now we're taking it to indirect speech. So in your exam, I will give you this part. I'll say Annie say. That's what you'll get in the exam. That's how it will look. So you'll get the question, Annie said at this warm vandaag, and then I'll show you how you must start. So remember, let's just go back to the three things that we said here at the beginning. Change punctuation, change pronouns, move verb 1 to the back because you've added a group 3 conjunction. I don't know if you want to add that as an actual group 3, add a group 3 conjunction or take notes of the group 3 conjunction. But the thing is, you can't write add a group 3 conjunction because sometimes it's already given to you. When we get to questions, I will show you it's already given to you. But you can make a little note that it has to do with the group 3 conjunction that is present in the indirect sentence. That's why we need to move the verb to the back. Right, so let's just get this to catch up with me. There we go. So now in your answer book, you rewrite. Annie say, with say, the group 3 conjunction that we add is that. So this you add. All my answers aren't going to be so full of notes, only the first example. Say that. Then our second thing is change or change punctuation. So we're going to remove the double punt. We're going to remove the aanhalingsteken. So that's not going to be in our answer. We don't have any pronouns that's there. So I'll change the sentence so that there's a pronoun in the next example. But we don't have, but there's our verb. 1. So number 3 says move your verb 1 to the back. Say dat dit warm vandag is. Okay, let's look at the next example. So now I need to think of something with a pronoun. Rowan sê ek gaan volgende naweek Taylor Swift kyk. This is something that happens more often than I would like in my class. If you look at Taylor now, I said I'm going to Taylor Swift. I'm going to watch her next weekend. Don't ask me, ma'am, is that a B? Like, yeah. What did I say? What does your common sense tell you? It's supposed to be Taylor Swift. Because I write and I write fast. And sometimes stuff like this happens even in my classroom when I write on the board. I said Taylor Swift, so listen. Okay, so don't ask me, is that supposed to be a B? What's Taylor Swift? It's Taylor. Okay, so always also think before you just ask, what's that supposed to be? Because we also like writing fast sometimes. And then in your exam paper, sometimes we're nice, sometimes we're not. It depends on what we're trying to achieve in the paper that we're setting. Are we trying to see that you actually know what conjunction's supposed to go there? Or am I just testing some other stuff? So you study it as if you're getting nothing. So again, I have say, and with say, no, I know, oh, this is not how we do this. So you will have it like this. This is how it will look on your exam paper. Then you answer on your answer sheet, you rewrite the name. Rowan say, you know you're supposed to add a dot with say. Now here we have a pronoun and we have gaan as my verb 1 and we have kyk as my verb 2. So we don't have a head. It's only head that goes at the very, very back. We don't have a head here. So gaan I read first and kyk I read second. So I still want to read it like that, even though I'm going to move it. I still want to read gaan first and kyk second in my answer. So Rowan said that Rowan is a guy. Say that hi. So also, don't come with me, ma'am. I don't know what gender this Rowan is. It sounds like a girl name. You'll have a picture. Rowan said that hi. Volgende naweek Tyler Swift. So in my question, I read gaan first and I read kyk second. So in my answer, I also want that. I had it like that in my question. I want it like that in my answer. So I have gaan first and kyk second. Still in that order. But all my verbs need to be at the back because I have that is a group 3 conjunction. Right, so there I touched on all the rules now for style set. Let's do one more that's actually a bit tricky. They don't always ask this, but you never know. So let's say you have a sentence that looks like this now. Let me just get an example because sometimes it's difficult for me to just think of something off the back of your head. So ons sê Susan sê ek gaan nou swem want dit is warm. Okay. Susan says, I'm going to swim now because it's warm. Then in your exam, I give you Susan say. So that's how the question looks in your exam paper. So on your answer sheet, you write down Susan say. I say, I know I'm supposed to add that. But let's quickly look at this. There is a conjunction. So we have that we added, plus we have want. Okay, so this makes it now a bit wobbly because we don't like having two conjunctions in a sentence, but they like asking this just to catch you out. So they ask this just because they can. So now, what did we learn about conjunctions? Each sentence stays with itself. You do not mix verbs. So now you work with this first sentence, and this first sentence is going to be the sentence that goes with the dot. Then we have a want. That's a different group, a different conjunction. So say dat, sy. Then we have gaan as our verb 1, swim as our verb 2 there. dat sy nou gaan swem. And then it works exactly like an infinitive. If you're not sure what an infinitive is yet, we will go over it later. But that basically means when we go through infinitives in a few videos time, you're going to hear cut and paste a lot. So what you're going to do, you're going to take from this conjunction and you're just going to cut and paste it. The dat goes with the sentence that follows the dat. But then I have a want. That's a different conjunction rule, not group 3 conjunction rule. So a want dit is warm. Right. Negatives stay where they are after your verb 1 and at the end. Right, so there's all your statements. Then let's go on to command, a bevelsin. How did I make this heading? Let me just see. If I just say stelsinne. Okay. Let's move on to command. Command is bevelsinne. Okay, so let's look how the examples of commands look. So I said a command is a sentence that starts with a main verb, a with werkwoord. A main verb, a with werkwoord. Right, so dit is byvoorbeeld doen jou werk. Okay, so that's how it normally looks. But now we are busy with direct and indirect speech. So the sentence will look something like this. Juffrou. So I can skree this or I can say this. I can shout it or I can say it. So because I put an exclamation mark there, I'm going to scream it. So juffrou skree. Doen jou werk. Right, so that's how it looks in direct speech. And then in your question paper, you will get juffrou skree. Sometimes you'll get the dat, sometimes you won't. Don't bother on it. You need to know with sê and with skree, you get a dat. You add a dat. Right, so your answer will be something. So obviously you'll start juffrou skree because that's how I told you to start. So that's how you start. Then you need to know I still add a dat. With sê and with skree, I add a dat. Now, here's my verb. Right. Now I'm saying, do your work. Let's think of the English. The teacher shout that I do my work or that he do his work. No, that he must do his work. So that's exactly what we're going to do in Afrikaans as well. In English, it makes more sense if we add a must. So that's what we're going to do in Afrikaans as well. Juffrou skree dat. But now you must be careful because what is moet? Moet is also a verb. So if I have a moet in a sentence, a moet is a helping verb. So I'm technically adding moet as my verb 1. And then doen is going to move into a verb 2 position. Because think about it, guys. teacher shouts that she does her work, that she must do her work. Just it's grammatically way more correct than without the must. And we are busy with an academic language paper. Say that. So let's say in my picture, it was a teacher shouting at a girl. That's my picture. Skree dat sy. So I need to add the subject. And then jou werk. So let's go back to our pronouns here at the beginning. So we had a jou must either be a haar of a sy. So I'm saying for this question, for argument's sake, imagine there was a picture on your paper of a teacher shouting at a girl. So juffrou skree dat. So again, think of English. It says, teacher shouts, do your work. Picture of a teacher shouting at a girl in class. The teacher shouts that she must do her work. So in English, you'd want to add that she. So you do that in Afrikaans as well. And then we add dat sy haar werk, because according to the pronoun list that I gave you at the beginning, they just popped something up where I'm supposed to write. Dat sy haar werk moet doen. So remember, many times when in doubt and you are busy with commands, you cannot add a moet into that sentence if you have to, and that makes sense in English. It will make sense in Afrikaans. If you're starting to add words and you translate that into English and there's no way that any of those words are anywhere in your English sentence, it's wrong. Because the sentence is the words that you use in the sentence between English and Afrikaans is very similar. It's just the order, because our verbs in Afrikaans are in different places than where the verbs are in English. Plus, we'll have an extra verb now and then. For where you have a past tense, where you mostly just add an ed to the past tense verb, or to make the verb past tense, we add a het and a ge, which is two separate verbs then that must be in two different places. But other than that, if you feel like, if you translate the sentence and you want to add a subject, you want to add a pronoun, or you want to add a helping verb, an auxiliary verb in that English translation in order for it to make sense, you're probably going to do that to the Afrikaans one as well. So just like this one, if you translate it, you want to add a she and you want to add a must because it sounds grammatically correct if you do so. So that is what you do to the Afrikaans one as well. It is just the verbs that's in different places, but it's still exactly the same words that you used in both the English and the Afrikaans sentence. Your verbs are just in different places. That's all. Right. So there we have that. Then let's go to, between vraagsin and uitroepsinne, they're both a little bit tricky. So let's first do vraagsinne and then we'll do uitroepsinne, because there's a bit more study work that goes with uitroepsinne. So vraagsinne. You have two types of vraagsinne. So let me write the two and then we'll chat about what's different between the two and how do you approach it when you have that, when you are busy with direct speech and how do you change it to indirect speech. So the two types of vraagsinne that you get, I'm going to write them down first and then we'll discuss the difference. So, ons sê somme Jan, very generic Afrikaans name. Ag nee, nie sê nie. Oops. Okay. Jan vra wanneer is dit pause? When is it break? And then kom ons sê sommer Ben, another generic name. Ben vra, because Ben was asleep when Jan asked that question. Now he asks, is dit al pause? So is it break already? Okay, so what's the difference between these two questions? So if you look at it, if you look here, so they're both questions. They both end with question marks. This one starts with a vraagwoord, a question word. A vraagwoord or a question word. Okay? And then this one starts with a verb. So this will usually count as your verb one, whether it's an auxiliary verb or a main verb like as, but it can be sal of kan of het, all those helping verbs can be there. Then it's also a question. So helping verbs or is. So what did we learn in the previous video about vraagwoorde? Vraagwoorde, question words, are also group 3 conjunctions. Okay. So, and what do we use when we are busy with direct and indirect speech? Group 3 conjunctions. And then in option B, there isn't anything. So this is where we add an off. So if we just go back up to the notes we made earlier, I said for a question, you add off or you use the given question word. So if we have this now, there we have the given question word in example A, but in example B, there's nothing. So it's here that you now will add off. Okay. Because it's a verb. So this counts for all of them. If it's a het, a kan, a sal, all the auxiliary verbs, moet ek dit regtig doen? Must I really do this? Auxiliary verbs. Okay. They all, you will add an off. So let's look at two examples quickly. I'm not going to ask use wanneer because that's quite a simple one. It's always wanneer. So I'm going to try and think of something else. So ons sê wat ek kyk wat het ek hier so. Sê Samantha vra wat het jy gedoen? What did you do? Wat het jy gedoen? Right. Then in your test or exam, I give you Samantha vra. Dot, dot, dot. Then in your answer book, You are going to write Samantha. Fro. What do we have here? What? That's a question word. And then het is our verb 1. So now I'm changing my question word and I'm going to use it as a group 3 conjunction. So what? So let's say she's asking this to her boyfriend that went out with friends last night. Now she's like, what did you do? So Samantha vra wat hy gedoen het. Full stop. Because you're just reporting or stating or retelling what she asked. She asked, what did he do? Okay. But we don't do past tense in IEB, Afrikaans Second Language Syllabus. So you won't have gevra there ever, and you will never have to change anything else to past tense. It's just the rules that I told you about earlier that is tested. Okay. Now, let's say now her boyfriend answers. Let's say her boyfriend's name is Bruce. Vra. Bruce vra. Het jy my selfoon gevat? He asked, did you take my cell phone? So see, now we have het. Het is your verb 1. That makes it a question. It's an auxiliary verb. So in your question paper, I will say Bruce vra ... Your answer book, you'll write Bruce vra. So because I'm starting with a verb 1, I have to add off because that verb needs to go to the back. Vra off. Ooh, this is a tricky one, guys, because he's talking to his girlfriend. And if it's a boy in Afrikaans who wants possession like his. So in English it will be he asks, Bruce asks if she took his cell phone. She took his cell phone. But in Afrikaans, she and his is sy. So Bruce vra of sy. So did she took his cell phone. My selfoon gaan dan wees ook sy selfoon. Yes, it's weird, but that's what it is. Bruce vra of sy selfoon gevat het. I'm actually glad that this one came up. It was very unintentional, but you will write this in your exam and then you will doubt it immediately. You'll scratch it out and you'll write nonsense and your answer will be wrong. But yes, guys, you can have it like that because she is sy in Afrikaans, but also is his. So technically in English, then this is Bruce asks if she took his cell phone. That is correct. Okay, so that's that for the first part of direct to indirect. So in the next video, we will look at exclamations because you have to know how to paraphrase interjections correctly. And then we'll look at how to do it when you swap it from indirect back to direct. See you then.